Heroes and History, American Indians, read to you by Carol Brigham. Millions of people already lived in North and South America before Columbus came here in 1492. There were thousands of different nations. Each nation had its own language, customs, and culture. Some groups were farmers, some were hunters, some lived in great cities. When Columbus met the first of these people, he thought he was in the Indies. He called the people here Indians. Today we call them American Indians or Native Americans. Relations between the newcomers and Indians. The relationship between American Indians and the Europeans who came to the Americas was very complex. At first, some groups of Indians welcomed the new people. They taught the newcomers how to survive in their new homes. White people and Indians often traded with each other. European missionaries taught Indians about Christianity. Explorers and fur traders used Indians as guides. African slaves ran away from their white masters to live in Indian villages. Some white people lived with Indians too. There were marriages between Europeans and Indians. European diseases. Smallpox and measles were serious diseases for Europeans. Smallpox killed 30% of white people who got it. But this disease had never been in the Americas. Almost 90% of Indians who got smallpox died. Smallpox and measles reduced the number of American Indians very quickly. Broken treaties. More and more people came to America from Europe. The new Americans had large families. The eastern states became crowded. Americans moved west to find new farmland. In the 1700s and 1800s, state governments and the federal government made many treaties with the Indians. The Indians wanted peace and security. They gave up much of their land and moved west. After the American Civil War, the U.S. Army sent soldiers to move the Indians off the Central Plains. They killed the buffalo that Indians needed for food. Indians fight back. Indians did not all give up easily. Many tribes fought back against the white people. There were powerful Indian warriors and chiefs. There were many bloody battles. Indian reservations. By 1890, the Indian Wars were over. All Indian tribes were forced to move to reservations. The land in the reservations was not good for hunting or farming. The Indians could not get food easily. Indian reservations were like foreign nations inside the United States. Each nation could make its own laws. They did not pay U.S. taxes. Before 1924, Indians were not U.S. citizens. They could not vote in American elections. Indian cultures almost disappear. White people were prejudiced against Indians. They did not understand Indians' culture or values. The U.S. government wanted to make Indians more like white people. They took Indian children away from their families. They sent the children to boarding schools. Some of the children were only 5 years old. At the schools, the children were not allowed to speak their own language. They were taught in English only. They could visit their families only a few times a year. As the children grew up, they did not learn their own culture. They could not use their own language well. Indians who graduated from these boarding schools felt lost in the Indian world. They felt lost in the white world, too. Indians suffered from poverty and depression. Many Indians became addicted to alcohol. Rights for Indians. In 1924, Congress gave U.S. citizenship to Indians. However, many states did not allow them to vote until 1948. In 1941, Japan attacked the U.S. The U.S. then declared war on Japan. In World War II, Indians showed their patriotism. Many joined the military. Navajo Indians used their language for a secret code that the Japanese could not decipher. The Civil Rights Movement. Black people in the United States fought for their civil rights in the 1960s. This became known as the Civil Rights Movement. At that time, Indian leaders began to ask for more rights for Indians too. The American Indian Movement was born. Indians went to court to sue the U.S. government. They wanted the land that the government promised them in the old treaties. They wanted Indian children to learn their own languages. Indian heritage. Today, there are 4 million American Indians in the U.S. The U.S. government recognizes 573 American Indian tribes and nations. There are 326 reservations. More than half of American Indians do not live on a reservation. Indians want to preserve the traditions and wisdom of their tribes. They get together in powwows to practice their dance, music, and storytelling. Powwows take place in large open spaces. Often, they are open to the public. To subscribe to Easy English News, and for more information on our supplementary materials and other books and materials written by Elizabeth Clare, visit our website at elizabethclare.com.